Marcus had spent 22 years becoming the most knowledgeable person in every room he entered. He had the degrees to confirm it, the experience to back it, and the specific confidence of someone whose expertise had been right often enough to become a posture rather than a conclusion. He knew his field. He knew it deeply, completely, and with the particular certainty of a person who has not been seriously wrong in long enough that being wrong has stopped feeling like a real possibility. When a younger colleague brought him an idea that did not fit the frameworks Marcus had spent 22 years building, Marcus received it the way experts receive things that contradict their expertise. Not with hostility, with something quieter and more final than hostility. With the patient dismissal of someone who has already understood the thing being proposed and already knows why it will not work. There is an old story from Japan about a scholar who traveled far to visit a Zen master, seeking wisdom. The master sat him down and began to pour tea into the scholar's cup. The tea filled the cup, and the master kept pouring. The tea overflowed the rim, spilled across the table, pooled on the floor. The scholar, alarmed, said, "Stop. The cup is full. It can hold no more." The master set down the teapot. "Like this cup," he said, "you are full of your own opinions. How can I show you anything unless you first empty your cup?" Marcus encountered this story at 47 in the margin of a book he had almost not read because a younger colleague had recommended it. He read it twice. Then he set the book down. Then he picked it up and read it a third time, because the third reading was the one where he stopped reading it as a story about someone else and started reading it as a story about the last room he had sat in, where someone younger had been trying to show him something. He sat at his desk that night and tried to remember the last time he had genuinely not known something in his field and had been open to finding out. He went back 3 years before he found a clear example. Then 5 years. The certainty had accumulated so gradually that he had not noticed it becoming a wall rather than a foundation. He had been building on it. He had not noticed that it had also been building around him. The cup metaphor is not about being ignorant. It is not about pretending you do not know what you know. It is about the specific internal posture of receiving. Whether, when something new arrives, there is space for it to land. A cup that is full is not a stupid cup. It is simply a cup that cannot currently receive anything. And a person whose certainty has filled every available space has not lost their intelligence. They have lost their capacity to grow. 6 months after the tea story, Marcus watched a competitor successfully deploy the approach his younger colleague had proposed in that meeting, the same approach he had dismissed with 22 years of expertise and the particular patience of someone who already knows. He did not watch it with anger. He watched it with the specific, quiet cost of realizing that certainty had not protected him from being wrong. It had only protected him from discovering it sooner. He went back to the younger colleague. He said 3 words that 22 years of expertise had made extremely difficult. "Show me again." Not as a concession, not as performance, as the genuine request of someone who had understood, finally, that the empty cup was not a position of weakness. It was the only position from which anything new could actually enter. He signed up for a course in the new methodology. He was the oldest person in the room. He knew the most about the adjacent field. He knew the least about the specific thing being taught. And for the first time in 6 years, he was genuinely, uncomfortably, productively, not sure. Not sure was the first thing he had felt in a long time. That was not the echo of something he had already understood. Not sure was where growth had been waiting. What happened when Marcus combined 22 years of genuine expertise with the new approach he had nearly dismissed was not what either alone would have produced. His deep knowledge gave the new methodology roots and context it had not had. The new methodology gave his deep knowledge a direction it had run out of. Together they produced something that the certainty of 22 years never could have, and that the enthusiasm of the younger colleague alone never would have. Because both were required, and neither was sufficient alone. When the next young colleague brought the next unfamiliar idea to the next meeting, Marcus did not fold his arms. He did not lean back with 22 years of certainty. He leaned forward. He asked questions that were genuinely curious, rather than designed to expose the flaws in what he had already decided was wrong. He emptied his cup. Not because he had forgotten what he knew, because he had learned that what he knew was only valuable as long as there was space beside it for what he did not. What Marcus learned at 47, that most people learn either very early or not at all, is this: your knowledge is not your ceiling. Your certainty is. The moment you are more interested in being right than in finding out what is actually true, you have stopped growing. And the moment you choose the empty cup over the full one, not permanently, not by abandoning what you know, but by making space beside it, you have done the only thing that allows you to become more than what you already are.